Michael Venom Page will be taking on Shara Bullet in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in the co-main event to Israel Adesanya versus Nasruddin Imavov. MVP versus Shara Magomedov is a fantastic matchup of pure strikers. Of course, they each possess decent ground games, but on the feet is where you'll find majority of their highlight reels, and surprisingly, MVP is the only one out of the two fighters to have submission wins. MVP is moving up from welterweight to middleweight to challenge Shara Bullet, but the Russian is blind, so there's that trade-off. It'll be a clash of Taekwondo versus Muay Thai, but who will emerge as the victor? Because he's partially blind in that one eye, Shara Bullet has some really good kicks. From distance, this is where he likes to do damage with some really quick, snappy kicks to the legs, side kicks, or just head kicks. He spams the leg attacks, and early in the Armin Petrosian fight, he was getting tagged up against the fence, but when he started to get into the rhythm of the fight, this is where he would actually have some good counters with the boxing. He would dip off to the right, which is his blind side, and come over the top with a left hook. He did this multiple times, and MVP is just as creative of a striker as anyone, and we'll see openings like this to respond with a knee or a left head kick. MVP can fight from either stance, whereas Shara Bullet likes to remain orthodox, or maybe he's just right-handed, and I don't know that. But MVP's Taekwondo style means he's almost point fighting, but with heavy strikes. He will wait for opponents to throw before throwing his own strikes, because he's so fast and closes that void quicker than any fighter at welterweight, maybe even on the entire roster. Because of this, when Shara Bullet throws any kick, MVP is going to be ready to unload on him. The lead body kick and leg kicks in general shouldn't be thrown without setups because MVP will dart in with the fight-ending blow at any moment. So what are the keys to victory for Shara Bullet? He typically does his best work in the center of the cage, and both of these fighters actually do. Shara is at a disadvantage having a shorter reach and possibly being the slower of the two fighters. He has to prolong the fight because a fresh MVP is a menace. Douglas Lima was able to do some damage with the leg kicks to MVP, kicking his skinny legs out from underneath him, and capitalizing off of this opportunity to find the knockout-ending blow. The only time MVP has been finished in his entire career. Shara's leg kicks are insanely fast for a 185er, but it's tricky to track down and find the timing of MVP because of the distance and his erratic movement. But MVP is also aware that his one potential weakness on the feet is getting his legs kicked a bunch, and he almost invites fighters to try kicking his legs because he'll just go over the top with an overhand to knock you out. He's achieved this against many strikers, and if you just look up his Bellator highlights, a lot of his knockouts are just straight rights or straight lefts. If Shara can get into the groove of the fight and get the distance and timing down, then he could land some great counters off of the blitzes coming from MVP. But the thing is with MVP is he doesn't really feint that much. His feinting is essentially just him bouncing around, making the opponent guess which time he's finally going to spring out and jump at you to strike. It's a very frustrating style to prepare and fight for. Fighters can't throw because he's so far away, or when they do, they just miss and get countered themselves. It's very unique to prepare for, and in the fight it just frustrates anyone. And it doesn't help that he's a showboater. Even if he's cool and respectful with you pre and post fight, mid fight he will try and make you feel stupid without saying anything. It got to the point where Kevin Holland was fed up with MVP by the end of their fight. And for the funniest example, look at MVP literally caving in Evangelista Santos' skull with a flying knee and throwing a pokeball at this man as he's thriving in pain. Shara Bullet just seems like one of those fighters that could lose his composure because of the trolling from MVP. I mean, we've seen the videos of him fighting a man because he kissed his girlfriend at a shopping mall and like literally stomping on his head, or trying to fight people because he lost at a jiu-jitsu tournament. Just seems like the type of guy that could lose his composure. The ability to cover distance with crazy speed is what makes MVP special. Typically, you would slow him down by overloading his system with takedowns or the threat of one, but I don't think that Shara is going to be shooting for the legs in this fight, so you have to take that away. Shara Bullet has no takedowns in the UFC and 0 submissions throughout his career. I think that Shara should do what most strikers are afraid to do with MVP, and that's extend your combinations. There are really never any combos coming from MVP, only 1 to 2 strikes at a time. In both the Kevin Holland and Ian Gary fights, the only time he would extend into a 3-strike combo was if you started or ended with a body kick. When MVP comes into Shara for that collision, if Shara can evade that initial shot, then that's really all there is to MVP. His initial strike has so much force behind it that he basically flies off his feet, and that's why he and Kevin Holland were falling all over the place in their fight. Their legs just kept getting tied up together. But after that initial strike, he's unable to strike efficiently here because he's off balanced. And this is where Shara needs to throw those boxing combinations or initiate a clinch and target the body with some knees to slow Michael Venom Page down a little bit. Shara won't be able to win this fight at distance, and chasing MVP down is a bad idea. Kevin Holland tried chasing MVP down and got hit big, wobbled multiple times. Ian Gary tried to wait for MVP, but only had success grappling him. In rounds 1 and 3, he was getting tagged repeatedly. Because of the reach disadvantage, Shara needs MVP to come to him, so he needs to feint, and this is where MVP will try and counter and explode into him, but Shara needs to counter off of the counter and then extend his combinations from there. Another tendency that I picked up on from MVP is that he likes to get to the center as soon as the round starts, and more often than not will come out stalking the opponent and throwing big early before settling into his point fighting style. This could be important because of the fact that it takes Shara a minute or two to settle into the rhythm of the fight. Like in the Armin Petrosian fight, he was getting tagged early before he found his range and the timing. The key to victory for MVP is basically just to do what he's always done for this fight. The biggest weakness of his mixed martial artist career has always been the grappling. Ian Gary won a decision due to just controlling MVP. Kevin Holland's best moment of his fight with MVP was with MVP on his back and Kevin Holland was throwing big elbows at him. And in Bellator, MVP could not win a championship because those dudes would just wrestle him to a decision. But his striking gives any MMA fighter a difficult time because of the uniqueness to it. So that finally brings us to the prediction. Who will win between Shara Bullet and Michael Venom Page? Personally, I'm going to go with the underdog, Michael Venom Page. Shara Bullet is an extremely fast striker for the division, and MVP is 37 years old, but I think that his speed's still going to be there and will be the deciding factor of this fight. MVP will be out of Shara Bullet's striking distance for a majority of the fight, and anytime Shara tries to throw, MVP has his own shot locked and loaded and will meet Shara with likely more power. The only way that I could see Shara coming out on top of this fight is with the head kick. He had a really fluid combination of faking the jab, following it up with the right hand, dipping down into a left hook, and then coming over the top with a lead head kick. And if Michael Venom Page was trying to exit in the orthodox stance, then I could see him getting caught with that head kick from here. I feel like to beat MVP without grappling, you have to finish him like Douglas Lima did. I think that this fight could go to a decision with the two strikers waiting for long periods of time for the other to engage. And like I did say before, MVP did wobble Kevin Holland and Ian Gary on multiple occasions, with the former having one of the best chins on the roster. But all I'm saying is the MVP moneyline is looking pretty enticing, bro. So that's it. I got Michael Venom Page by decision. Let me know what you think in the comments below if you have any disagreements or any techniques that I might have missed that could change the outcome of this fight. Make sure you elbow that subscribe button, left hook that like button, and I'll catch y'all in Saudi Arabia at the fights.